Hey, good morning. How are you? Welcome to Soaring Solo with Stacy. Soaring Solo is a community of single mothers who are determined to fly above society's expectations by rising above our circumstances and setting an example for our children. So I'm so glad that you are here. You like my shirt? Isn't that nice? I'm so excited. I got more coming. Can't wait. It's so exciting. I wanted to talk to you today about decluttering your thoughts, but I want to tell you a little story first, okay? I decided, I've been thinking for the last 6 months or so that maybe it's time to buy a new car. I don't love the idea of buying a new car because I hate car payments and mine's paid for, but I'm driving more, driving further. I live in Michigan. I might need something a little better in the icky snow, right? So I've been thinking for a while about purchasing a new vehicle. And through this, I've kind of been doing a little shopping and looking around to see what I want. And I came to the conclusion a while back that, I really like a Buick Encore. They're kind of cute. They're small. They're kind of small, but they're still kind of big. They're kind of that middle range. There's plenty of room. I think it'd probably be decent in the snow. All of those things. Like, this might be my car. I kind of like this. And I hadn't seen a ton of them around. And you guys know, anybody who knows me personally knows that I like to stand out in a crowd. So I don't want to have what everybody else has. That's not fun, right? So that's kind of what I was looking for. And I noticed all of a sudden, after I kind of made that somewhat of a decision that this is probably the car that I'll go looking for when I decide it's time to buy one, all of a sudden I start noticing Buick Encores everywhere. Oh my gosh. I was driving home from work the other day and I'm behind a Buick Encore and there's one in the lane next to me and there's one turning and going opposite. Like everywhere, and there's one in the parking lot over here. They're everywhere. Oh my gosh, I never noticed them before. Have you ever done that? Like all of a sudden, I had this Buick Encore in my head and now I'm seeing them everywhere. That's focus. That's your thought. It always happens that way. You're right. This is how your thoughts work. Okay, so when we are focused on something, that's exactly what we will see. And that's why we need to take some time to declutter our thoughts, right? Okay, there are two kinds of thoughts you can have. There are thoughts that hinder and there are thoughts that help. And we're going to talk about both of those real quick. First of all, let's talk about those thoughts that hinder. Thoughts that hinder are typically negative and they are natural and they are easy, right? You don't have to work hard to have a negative thought life. Can I get an amen, right? It's really easy to look in the mirror and pick out all of your flaws, is it not? Or am I the only one that looks in the mirror and says, oh, well, look at that long nose and those crooked teeth and oh, you're still carrying a little extra weight around the middle. That's got to come off. And, am I the only one that does that? No, those pop out faster than anything. Those negative thoughts come so easy. You know what else? Those negative thoughts are reinforced in society. All right. Now, don't get me wrong. I have not had anyone so mean as to come up and make fun of my flaws. Okay. Not in a long time. But we see it every time we turn on the TV, every time we open a magazine. You see these airbrushed pictures of perfection that we will never be, that they probably aren't either, right? And we start comparing to that. So immediately that negative thought of, oh, I'm too flubby. Oh, I have crooked teeth. Oh, I have whatever it is that you look at that you don't like. And you see that and it's reinforced that it's bad because everything we look at is different than that, right? The things and the things we say to ourselves, like I said, it's been a really long time since I've had someone so hateful in my life to come up and say something really ugly, like, oh my gosh, your teeth are crooked. Or, and not that I've never had it, but it's rare. Most of the time, we're not going to say something to somebody else. Wow, you could just you lose a few extra pounds. Are you going to say that to somebody else? Unless you're a mean, hateful person, probably not. Right? But we will tell ourselves that when we look in the mirror all day long. We don't hesitate because those are the thoughts that come into our mind. Those are hindering thoughts. Those are the thoughts we need to get rid of. Those are the thoughts that we need to replace. As a single mom, the reason I'm a single mom is because I finally left my son's dad. But before I did, I stayed with him for 4 or 5 years, way too long. Okay. Because I knew I was in a bad situation. But I stayed with him longer than I should have because of those hindering thoughts. Those hindering thoughts took over my mind. So a lot of you know my story. Not everybody does. To give you the brief version, when I started dating my son's dad, he was married. Okay, I was that girl. I was the homewrecker. Okay, not proud of that, and I carried that guilt with me for a long time, to the point that when he started cheating on me, my hindering thought was, you deserve this. You're just getting back what you dished out. Now you have to deal with it. And I stayed with him for the longest time because that was my mindset. Now, kind of like when your mama told you that if you don't eat your dinner, when you didn't want to eat your dinner, there are starving children in whatever country, Ethiopia or whatever era you were in, okay? So what? It doesn't do them any good whether I eat or not, right? This is the same thing. And I had to learn to tell myself that, yeah, what I did was wrong, okay? But my staying with him and being treated this way isn't changing that situation. So I have to learn to forgive myself and move forward. Those were my hindering thoughts. And I had to change those hindering thoughts to helping thoughts. And the only reason I did that, honestly, is once Vance was born, I remember thinking, I don't want my son to grow up seeing his dad treat me this way and think that that's what men do, that it's okay. So the only way I changed that hindering thought to a helping thought was because I wanted to make sure his thoughts were correct. It wasn't even about my thoughts at that point, but it made me change my way of thinking. So then we move into those helping thoughts, the other kind of thought that you need to replace the hindering thoughts with. They're a whole different ballgame because helping thoughts are positive, they're encouraging, they're inspirational, right? But they're also intentional. They're not natural. At least for most of us, they are not natural. They are, you have to intentionally plant them in your head. I had to intentionally say to myself, okay, maybe what I did was wrong, but you know what? I'm going to do what's right now. Okay? So you have to replace those. If I go back to that mirror scenario that I talked about in the beginning, when I look at myself in the mirror, I have to stop seeing all of the negative things about the way I look, and I have to start looking at the good things. And it's hard. Y'all know. I know I'm not the only one that has to really work at this. Like, I have to think hard, and sometimes it takes me a while, and sometimes I can't come up with money. But I have to look in that mirror and I have to go, you know what? I have pretty eyes. I have good lips. I have great skin, right? You have to find that and replace those negative thoughts with positive ones. Now, I kind of talked about this last week. It's not about completely ignoring your flaws either. Like, if you're unhealthy, you might want to get healthy. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is quit ripping yourself apart, because that's not doing you any good regardless. That's not helping you change and get healthy. If you're beating yourself up over carrying extra weight, that's not helping you get healthy. That's just tearing down your self-esteem. Okay? So you've got to replace those hindering thoughts with those helping thoughts. So important. What hindering thoughts do you have? Because I know you got to have some. I know I'm not the only one. I think this is probably across the board, universal. We all have these thoughts that break us down, that just come into our head without us even trying, and they break us down. What is your hindering thought? I really want you to think about this week. I want you to think about what thought you need to replace, and then I want you to think about how you can replace that thought with something better, with a helping thought, something that's going to help build you up, something that's going to help build others up, because they're going to see a change in you when they see that transformation of your mind. Okay? Really want you to think about that. If you're willing to share it, I would love for you to share what your hindering thoughts are and what your helping thought is going to be. You never know, it might help somebody else, right? That might be just what they needed to hear to change their thought life. So also, before I go, Soaring Solo Group is opening in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. So if you are a single mama and you want to be a part of that, please let me know so I can get you in the first group to join that group when it opens in 2 weeks. And And don't forget to like and share. If you know a single mom that could use this, if you know anybody that could use this, by all means, like and share it. You might want to share it in private messenger if you think it's something that's too personal that they maybe don't want everybody to know that you're sharing to them. That's fine. But I would love you to help me get the word out, especially to single mamas, so we can grow that Soaring Solo group and we can change the way people look at single moms in society today, and we can change the way single moms are. Okay. Don't forget, you may be soaring solo, but you are not tackling motherhood alone. You guys have a great week.